So with first start, you're going to be seeing the display showcasing just the emulation station. I think it's kind of cool, but throughout different categories, you're going to be seeing different kind of icons. But particularly when you're going to be booting up an image itself, like Sega Dreamcast, it will showcase now the retro arena, and then it's going to be switching to a different icon when actually going to be booting up into the system itself. And that mostly happens when you're going to be booting up into the emulator itself. So that's kind of a cool, neat thing. And yeah, do you really need a display for it? I think this is one of those very cool novelties. But what is kind of cool, this is more like an N64 mini console. I love the look, having 4 USB ports for the 4 controller configuration that is even able to being used and emulated with the N64 emulator. So that's kind of cool, and you can also play Sega Dreamcast and all kinds of cool stuff. But what makes this thing even a better deal, so I noticed this Odroid Xu10 box in the inside, and I was thinking, hey, maybe this is like a manual in the inside, realizing that there is actually another board in the inside. So I got like 2 of these boards for a fraction of like these things are normally are, like when it comes to the price point. But let's do a chit chat about the specs, because when it comes to this older board, this thing does have some interesting specs to it. So what I understand of that, the Samsung Exynos 5 Octo ARM Cortex A15 quad-core 2 GHz and a Cortex A7 quad-core 1.3 GHz CPUs. So it's quite like a long list, one thing for sure. Memory is going to be 2 GB LPDDR3 RAM running on 933 MHz. So the 3D acceleration or the GPU is the Mali T628 MP6 OpenGL ES. However, when you're looking at the spec list, it's not like the beefiest one out there, but it had like a lot of potential when it comes to that. So this is actually the main board that's inside of the case itself, but there were different configurations I also chit-chatted here on the channel about. We also have this case over here that you can actually buy and putting around the main board itself, giving it more like a console feeling. Yeah, so there's actually a very easy plug and play case, very cheap, but of course it's not the most coolest way to play, because that is actually going to be this case over here. And I think it's a very awesome thing to pick up if you're finding it for the same kind of price I actually did. You can also click it open, so the plastic itself, it's not like supreme quality when it comes to that. But let's open it up and let's just be very gentle. But in the inside there is nothing much to see. We can just actually remove this Xu10 quite easily by 4 like screws, and this thing is just plugged into, let's say, one of the ports. Yeah, that's actually it. You know, this thing is communicating with the front PCB through, let's say, the USB over here, and it just also has this extra cable, flat cable, and I'm guessing this is going to be communicating with this board over here. So there is a lot of potential. You can see what you can do with this board. That is what I love, this mini thing. But this is actually what we're finding in the inside. Nothing much, but let's put it back together and let's just boot it up. So when booting up, you can just see the LCD already works, get some communication from the system itself. In here having the controller set up and the image is booting up. But let's see what we're getting. So for emulation performance, there's always something that doesn't run perfectly. But I think it's absolutely awesome to see. We can even play some Sega Dreamcast on native resolution. So picking this thing up for 50 is just a great deal. However, I need to point out, if you're going to be playing this game, yeah, you can play it on all kinds of different systems nowadays, with even having overall better performance in higher resolutions. But out of the box, this is such a very cool novelty. It's outdated, but it's a lot of fun, and emulation on native resolution is just fine. And also the rumble function seems to be working with the Xbox 360 controller. So that's one of those things that I love about these, let's say, devices, and particularly when it comes to the Xbox 360 controller. I've been testing out all different kind of controllers, but most of them will not even have a rumble motor in the inside. So far every system will have its own, let's say, tiny logo. I'm guessing if you're going to be updating new system, you need to implement new logos. You can just basically grab them from the internet and just put them in an image. So it's always like a little bit of a hassle, but beside that, I'm guessing they're ready to go images that you can just easily play. Pressing select and start, or like the certain combination you're having, you can just go back to the main menu like that. Super easy, and then choose a different system. But when it comes to playing these games, there is so much you can do and so much you can play. But let's do a quick overview of everything, the menu itself. So in here we're finding that it runs on emulation station, and I know there are different even better options out there, but just wanted to see what happens when you're getting the original image with everything set up when it comes to the pictures and so. So you can just see sound settings are over here. We can just crank up the volume if you want to. UI settings and stuff like that. So when it comes to playing the retro games, so there was all kinds of stuff. Unfortunately, the image is not perfect. You can see there is blank, like this is PC Engine CD, but there was nothing in there. So that's quite unfortunate that some of the things are not perfectly done. However, there are so many cool stuff you can play. So one of the stuff I just wanted to check out is Thomas Wave, 3DO, and of course some N64. But let's start off with just some old school games. Oh yes, let's try one of those very strange games that we have been seeing throughout the years on those systems. Oh man, did I check? Oh, let's see. That background, Wave the Warrior. Oh man, who came up with this? So let's go to the arena. Let's see which button I actually need to use. Oh, we have all kinds of, like the menu makes no sense whatsoever. Tournament mode. Okay, so let's do that. What the heck is going on? I'm going to be choosing the ninja. It already starts stuttering. So that is one of the things that is a major problem with these basic devices, that video will struggle even it's like an older system sometimes. Yeah, you can just hear it from the voice that it is stuttering. The way of the warrior. I know some collectors love to have these games because they're so horrible. With the time era of the Mortal Kombat, everybody wants to rip off Mortal Kombat and have the same kind of success. This is when like people are going to create stuff like this. They had like some amazing soundtracks. Can I do some move? Oh, that was the pause button. Oh crap. Oh, what a bad thing going on over here. The way of the warrior, yeah. So when it comes to playing some arcade and Mortal Kombat, this was like the ultimate test for particular Pandora's boxes, but this seems to be running just fine, and this is what the Macs we're getting. So if you want to look into some Tekken MAME and stuff like that, that will not run at all. So that is quite unfortunate. So, and I think this is one of the reasons why these things will not get, like say, high priced anymore, because this is just something we can play on many devices now. However, it's a lot of fun, and if you're grabbing a mini system for not a lot of money like that, there are still thousands of different games you can actually play. Oh, there goes my double flawless. What an... Oh. Okay, so let's see how this runs. There's some weird glitches going on. But so far, the overall performance is so much significantly better compared with the cheap game boxes that we have seen many times before. So that's one of the reasons I love the Xu10. It had a lot of potential. Didn't look into why it glitches so much. I think this has to do with the widescreen implementation of the widescreen mod. Yeah. Hydra Thunder for the Sega Dreamcast, another game I really enjoyed. I think I even enjoyed it way more than it was released on the Xbox 360 with the arcade part. Same story, is that with the widescreen it doesn't really have a positive effect on here, so I think I need to shut it down and just put it on 4:3 aspect ratio. But this is such a cool game. Graphical wise, I would love to play this on like super high graphics, 4K rendering resolution, because it looks slightly better than it is going to be looking now, because now is of course the native resolution. It looks kind of like the original game, let's put it that way. But again, I can just really enjoy these boat races games. Rapid Racer was another game on the PlayStation 1 with some funky music I also enjoyed back in the day. Woohoo! Turbo boost. And it was all like grabbing the turbo boost and trying to do your best and trying to beat the time. Woo, what a chaotic game. Oh, I failed already. Ooh. So moving on to some basic stuff like the Game Boy Advance, and a lot of fun. Emulation is just spot on, but again, if you want to play just Game Boy Advance on a game stick, you can just do that on a game stick, like it costs like a fraction of this. But it's just a great addition. So it's still running, I think, on the original resolution, but also when it comes to, let's say, no filters whatsoever. Alternate Beast, oh man, this is actually the first game I owned for the Sega Genesis. And you know how you need to play this? Put you in the face and kick him in the balls. That is how you're going to be doing it. But nevertheless, we're going to be playing this game just to check it out if this is going to be running perfectly. But yeah, I was expecting no problems here because these devices are completely overkill. Same story like Game Boy Advance. If you just want to play these games, there are so many different cheap ways. You can even load up an emulator on your phone and just play it. So yeah, this is a very cool addition. Let's go Super Beefcake. Oh yeah, yeah. And does it run Doom? Yes it does, but it's going to be in different port. This is going to be the silent Doom because there is no soundtrack. What just happened? Did I have like a turbo button? Woo! Woo! We can speedrun it! Let's go! Odroid 4 or Xu10, like freaking speedrun this. I can't open the door. Oh, there we go. Woo! There we go, there we go, there we go, there we go! And done! Yeah! But we have been testing so much basic stuff that runs just fine, besides 3DO of course, and maybe particularly the 8-bit, 16-bit era. So also PlayStation 1 can be played on this and it runs quite good. And yeah, bezel wise, I do like the bezel today. Normally I'm not a big fan of this, but let's see. Oh yeah, that was the worst time to choose an freaking autopilot. That's one thing to be sure about. The overall emulation performance native resolution is just fine with this. And yeah, I can really enjoy myself. I don't notice any big input lags whatsoever. Ooh, I messed that part up. Man, oh man. Ooh. Oh, Die Hard Trilogy was such a cool game. I've been playing this a lot. One thing I never actually experienced, and I think I did it not a very long time ago, is grabbing a light gun and playing that light gun stage. No, actually it was like a trilogy of different games. I also found I think this is third person view, quite interesting but kind of strange. And also Bruce Willis has become a freaking Terminator again because they're shooting a shitload of bullets at me, but I'm still standing. Oh yeah. Here. Grab a grenade. The system I really wanted to check out is the Sega Saturn. So another Die Hard game with the arcade version, and the simple reason because this is a quite difficult one to emulate, but so far native resolution it seems to be working just fine. So let's do a little bit of a gameplay and see how it works out. So I've been testing this game for, let's say, a long time on many different game boxes, but most of the time I had a lot of problems with many games don't run well. But now with this Xu10, this old thing, it seems to be having a great overall performance. So I am really surprised by it. If you want to play this on 4K rendering resolution, I've been trying this on, let's say, older devices like older PCs with some Bodacera. PlayStation Portable is going to be a different story. So let's press the button over here on my Xbox controller, the Xbox Home button, giving you the grandiose access to the PlayStation Portable emulator. In here we're having settings, so it has been set to OpenGL, frame skip freaking 2, but this is something I don't get. Like I put it on like the original or one-time PSP, try to put it on one-time frame skip, and yeah, but you're going to be doing a little bit of tweaking. So yeah, speed up, everything has been set to low, and the stuffing filtering, let's put this on off. Yeah, and just see what we can actually do over here. So show the frames per second please, go back and let's get into the game. And let's see who the overall performance is. Oh man, you saw already some glitches. It can't do. You can maybe fix it if you have like a newer version of the emulator, because they are running on some older emulators. Oh, this looks really horrible. So, oh, you can see that it struggles. PlayStation Portable is way too much to ask for this device. You can just play it. You see it runs on 30 FPS now. Oh crap. So the overall performance, I must say that for an old device, I've been seeing worse on, let's say, those cheap game boxes. But still playable. So I would not recommend playing in God of War or in a game that is really demanding. But so the basic games that will run just fine. I think also in Wipeout, for example, Wipeout pulse will not work great. Or you need to do a lot of tweaking. So putting everything on the original aspect ratio. I think the reason why they went for 2 times, because they just wanted to try to make it look a little bit better. So let's do that. Let's go to random resolution and let's put it on 2 times. And let's see what happens now. Let's continue. This looks slightly better. Performance-wise, I'm quite surprised. There we go. Whoa, 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 whoa. So let's start off with some N64 and Blast Corps, well, because this is such a very cool, let's say, overall game, but it is a lot of difficult to emulate. And you can just see that it is going to be an overall fun experience. Did notice some overall hiccups in the beginning, but so let's see. I'm quite surprised with the overall emulation performance of this older chip, but let's destroy some buildings. And you can actually notice some hiccups here and there, but of course the ultimate test is going to be some cruise in the USA, because this was a really difficult overall emulation process when it comes to this particular game. Same minor hiccups, but let's see if we can actually do some gameplay over here. Okay, I have no idea which button I need to freaking press. Brake. Oh. It seems to be that there was no acceleration possible, because they messed up the controls. Yeah, that is a little bit of a bummer. Oh! But let's check out some GoldenEye action. So it's just clear that they didn't configure the trigger buttons, also the reason why I couldn't play with Cruise in the USA. I just wanted to see, and I must say that on native resolution, the overall performance is great. I'm really surprised by how good it actually works on this.